So I was about 4 the first time I kissed a girl. I'd already kissed a boy by this time, and it's really well documented. There are pictures. Everyone thought it was hilarious. But I knew that I couldn't be super open about kissing a girl, even at 4 years old. So, I mean, which is insane. I was 4. Whoever thinks that 4-year-olds are actually that aware of what is and is not okay already. So, that was my first, experience with sexuality. But then we moved to a small town in southwest Colorado from Phoenix. So, we went from this really big city to this little tiny town. There were about 500 people in populace. My graduating class was 11. And it's a really small hick town, so I was just having issues trying to figure out where I fit in as a kid from Arizona with dark curly hair whose name changed when I was about 6 because of an adoption that went through with my adoptive dad, who is the most incredible person, by the way. Love him. Couldn't do anything I've done without him. And so yeah, there was not a whole lot of identity development while I was in school there. So from about kindergarten till my senior year of high school, I kind of slipped under the radar in a lot of my identity development. I was a super studious kid. I graduated high school with 34 college credits, and that was pretty much what I dedicated my life to, was that and just looking kind of more rebellious than I probably should have, but it was a lot of fun, so I don't really care. I got good grades. No one really cared. But so then, after I graduated when I was 18, after I graduated when I was 18, I started dating this guy, and he was a straight white cis man, which really allowed me to not have to explore any of my identities as a queer woman of color, because it was safe with him. I was straight with him. Yeah, I had curly hair and don't look exactly white, but I don't look like I'm part black and part native either. I was able to pass it off. I have a huge privilege in being white passing. I also have a huge privilege in being straight passing. And so we were together for about 1.5 years, and it really didn't challenge a whole lot of my identity development because I was in a safe zone where I could just kind of be. And so then it was partway through my sophomore year of college and into my junior year of college that I did a lot of my own identity development. And in that, I started visiting cultural centers. And I mean, I'd already been a really big goer of the drag shows, and I, felt things, but I wasn't open about it. And so then the first semester of my junior year, one of my friends messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you want to be in the drag show?" And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I want to be in the drag show. Didn't even know that I could do that. I thought that it was everyone was kind of professional performers and whatnot. And so I was like, yeah, I'd love to be. That's super cool. And by that time, I'd already come out to my roommate. I mean, she was my roommate. She's one of my best friends. It seemed super comfortable and normal to come out to her. But I hadn't been out to anyone else at that point. And so I'm in the drag show, and there was this girl who I had a crush on the semester before in a class that we'd had together, sitting right in the front row. And there was this one part in the dance where we would come down off the stage and dance in the audience. And so I went off the stage, danced in the audience, and went up to her. And so in the drag show, it's consent is a huge thing. And so I went up and I was like, "Hey, can I touch you?" And so I kind of danced on her a bit. And then at intermission, she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, do you want to go on a date with me?" I was like, "Yeah." And so we dated for about a month or so. It wasn't a big thing. But that was my first queer relationship, and that was so huge to me. I was so excited. And I mean, it didn't end the best, but that's, any kind of relationship cannot end super well. And so yeah, because of that though, my friends saw me walking around holding her hand, and they were all like, oh my god, Sienna's holding a girl's hand, and she's like, the other girl, like the girl has lipstick marks on her, because I'm a huge fan of lipstick. And like, it was so funny. But it also prompted me to tell my mom, because my mom is my best friend and she knows everything about me, always has. And so it wasn't that I was scared to tell my mom because I thought she would have an issue with my queerness. I was scared to tell my mom because my mom was in the hospital with my grandmother. And I didn't know when my grandmother was going to be getting better. And she didn't. But it was definitely one of those where I was like, I was trying to gauge times as to like when I could tell my mom and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, and how she would react, and all of these different factors. And then it turned out that I talked to her on the phone one day after I had gotten a flat on my bike tire and I was walking my bike home. And I was talking to her and I was like, I'm sick of filtering my stories. And so I told her, and at first I was a little scared because she had to get off the phone really quickly because the doctor had shown up, and I was like, oh god, like I screwed it up, like she's not gonna love me anymore. And then she calls me back and she's like, hey, I'm so sorry, like the doctor came and I really had to go, and but like I was really worried that you were gonna feel like I didn't love you anymore, and like that this wasn't okay with me. And so yeah, I mean, after that my mom has always been super supportive, and actually changed from calling my future spouse from my future husband to my future partner. And so that's been incredible. My sister also handled it super well. My sister is 6 years younger than I am. And I kind of told her before I posted an Instagram post where I had rainbow eyebrows, and I was just I was celebrating Pride from Italy this last summer, because I was not in the country, and it was after the Orlando shooting, and it was absolutely devastating. And I was like, okay, you know, I've been really quiet about this for a while. I know my sister's not gonna have an issue with it, but I need to like tell her before I post this update. And she's like, okay, like I love you. And I was like, I love you too. And that was pretty much like, that was the conversation. And it went smoother than I had expected it to. I didn't really expect it to be that bit rough, but it was super easy to tell her. And my grandparents are both also on social media on my mom's side, and so they both are fully aware of my outness, and they always like all of my posts, and it's really cute. I've not had a formal conversation with my dad yet about my queerness, but I know that he'll be fine with it. When my cousin came out, he immediately called her and told her that she'd have a place in our house, always, after my aunt had disowned her. So, she has no longer been disowned, but, you know, family drama. Anyways, I know that he won't have an issue with it. It's just more that he will sit and think of all of the possible issues that will face me as a queer individual until he sees me happily with someone. So I'm kind of waiting to bring someone home to tell him. And that way he can see how happy it makes me, and he'll kind of forget about all of the other issues that I'll face. And yeah, so I had it really easy. My family is really hugely important and supportive. I have some family that isn't as supportive, and I'm kind of under wraps about a lot of my identity with them. But I'm also, I don't care. I have so much family that's so incredible, and if the people who aren't supportive don't want to be in my life, then that's how it works. Because other than that, I have incredible friends and incredible family. So I'm, like I said, I'm incredibly lucky, and I know that a lot of people aren't. So thank you so much for listening. I'd like to hear your story sometime. Thanks, bye.